Hello everyone, welcome to the pre-algebra lecture. In this lecture we're going to start module 9 where we look at measurement in units. Basically we're going to be examining how to do conversions, converting from one unit to another unit. The first section, 9.1, is going to be on the American units or US customary units. So we're going to refer to this table a lot, so I cut and paste this table from your textbook in here. And these are just some common conversion factors. So for length, for instance, we know that there's 12 inches in 1 foot, right? 3 feet in 1 yard, 5280 feet in 1 mile. For weight, 1 pound is 16 ounces, right? 16 ounces per pound. A ton is 2,000 pounds. Volume, you have a bunch of units here. For instance, a gallon is 4 quarts, right? A quart is 2 pints, and so on. And in time, 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day, and so on. So we're going to use all of these in this particular section. However, when I present the material, I'm going to focus on just measures of length. So we will focus on length. But later on the problems, we'll have problems that deal with weight, volume, and time. Okay, so how do we change units, changing from one unit to another? Let's say, again, let's focus on length here. Well, what we do is we have to multiply by what's called a unit conversion factor. So let me write that down here. So to change units, we multiply by a unit conversion factor. And we'll use the information in the table here to create our unit conversion factor. So this is best explained by example. Let me give you an example here. Let's say I want to convert 6 feet into inches. So I'm going to convert feet into inches. Okay, well, what do we know about feet and inches? If we go back to the table here, right, we know that 1 foot, right, is 12 inches. So we know that conversion factor there. So there's several ways I can write this, right? I know that 1 foot, I'm going to abbreviate it FT, is equal to 12 inches, which is abbreviated as IN. So I can write this as a ratio, right? I can write this as 1 foot over 12 inches, or I could write it as 12 inches over 1 foot. In some sense, these are both equal to 1, right? Because they represent the same length in the numerator and the same length in the denominator. So in some sense, they're equal to 1. So these are what's called unit conversion factors. So these are unit conversion factors. Okay, so if I want to convert 6 feet, let me write it this way, 6 feet, I want to multiply by one of those unit conversion factors, and I want my answer to be in inches. Right? Remember, the two choices were, I could either multiply by 1 foot is 12 inches, or 12 inches is 1 foot. So which one do I want to multiply that will actually do this conversion correctly? Well, the way you should think about this is I have units of feet right now, right? I want units of inches. So my unit conversion factor here, I want feet to be in the denominator because I want them to cancel, and then I want inches to end up surviving in the answer here. So the one I want to choose then must be 12 inches over 1 foot. let's see like why that works. So if I multiply by 12 inches over 1 foot, so see how feet over feet, you can treat it almost like numbers, they cancel, and inches will remain in the numerator, right, in our answer. So now I just have to multiply these fractions together. Think of 6 as 6 over 1 times 12 over 1. Well, this is going to be 72 over 1, which is 72. So this is simply going to be 72 inches. Okay, here's another example. Let's say I want to convert 2 miles, and I want to figure out how many feet that is. Okay, so again, I would set this up as 2 miles, and I want to multiply by some unit conversion factor so that I end up with feet. Right now, we're just sticking with one unit conversion factor. Sometimes you have to multiply by several unit conversion factors, but we'll just stick with one now. So what's the relationship between miles and feet? Well, if we go back to this chart here, right, we know that there's 5280 feet in 1 mile, okay? So 5280 feet in 1 mile. So I can either write the unit conversion factor as 5280 feet over 1 mile, or I could write it as 1 mile over 5280 feet. So which one do I want to use? Well, I want miles to cancel, right, and feet to remain. So in my unit conversion factor, I want miles to be in the denominator. So I want to multiply by that one, right? So this is going to be 5280 feet over 1 mile. Then miles will cancel, and then feet will remain in the numerator in my answer. And of course, we have to multiply this, right? So 5280 times 2 is going to be what? 0, 6, 1, this is 5, and then 10. So this is going to be 10,560 feet. So 2 miles is the same as 10,560 feet. Okay, what about the other way? What if I wanted to go from, I want to convert, let's say, 18,480 feet to miles. So I start with 18,480, and I want to end up with miles. So now, which unit conversion factor do I use? Well, I have to use the other one, right? I have to use the one where feet is in the denominator, miles is in the numerator. So I want to multiply by 1 mile over 5280 feet. Then feet will cancel, and I end up with miles. So here I have to do this out. Well, it turns out that if I do 18,480 divided by 5280, right? Basically, I'm multiplying, but then I have to simplify that fraction at the end, so I have to divide. So this goes in, I guess, 3 times. Let me put a decimal point there. I'll write this as a decimal number. So this is going to be 0, right? 24. Then 8. And then 15. I'll subtract. So this is going to be 0, 4. I need to borrow, right? So this is going to be 6, and then 2, and then bring down the next digit. And then 5280 into 26,400 is, I guess, exactly 5 times. So this would be 0, 40, so carry the 4. Let's say 10, 14, 1, 25, 20, yeah, 26. So that's 0. So this is 18,480 feet is exactly 3.5 miles. Okay, what if I want to convert 72 inches to yards? I wonder how many yards 72 inches is. Now, if I know the direct relationship between inches and yards, I could just use one unit conversion factor and multiply by the unit conversion factor and convert it. In fact, I do know the relationship. There's 36 inches in 1 yard, right? If I don't know that, I could do this in several steps. I could have more than one unit conversion factor. For example, I know, like, I'm going to start with 72 inches, right? That's where I begin. Ultimately, I want to end up with yards here. Let's say I don't know how to go directly from inches to yards. I do know how to go from inches to feet, right? I know that there's 12 inches in 1 foot. Since I want inches to cancel and feet to remain, I'm going to write the unit conversion factor as 1 foot over 12 inches. So that's the first unit conversion factor I multiply by, 1 foot over 12 inches. If you were to stop there, your answer would be in feet, right? But we want to go to yards. But I know a relationship between feet and yards. I know that there are 3 feet in 1 yard. So the unit conversion factor I want to use is 1 yard over 3 feet. Why? Because I want feet to cancel now and yards to remain in the numerator. Do you see that? So I start with 72 inches. I multiply by 1 foot over 12 inches. Inches cancels. Then I multiply by 1 yard over 3 feet. The feet cancels, and I end up with yards, but that's what I want. That's in my answer. So all I have to do is multiply these values together. So I have 72 over 1 times 1 over 12 times 1 over 3. Now you can simplify a bunch here, right? 12 goes into 12 once. 12 goes into 72 6 times. And then 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 6 twice. So this is just 2 times 1 times 1, which is 2, over 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. So this is going to be 2. So 72 inches is equal to 2 yards. But in this case, we use 2 unit conversion factors. Okay, what about this? Let's say we want to convert 1 mile to yards. So I have 1 mile. I want to know how many yards that is. Now, if you look in the chart, I mean, sometimes some charts will actually tell you that directly. You could Google this and figure this out directly. But let's find it by doing using a couple unit conversion factors. So I do know the relationship between feet and miles, right? I know that there's 5280 feet in 1 mile. So if I multiply by 5280 feet over 1 mile, then miles will cancel and I'll end up with feet, but I want to keep going because I want to end up in yards, right? So what's the relationship between feet and yards? Well, I know that there's 3 feet is equal to 1 yard, and I want feet to cancel, so I guess I better write this unit conversion factor as 1 yard over 3 feet. So now if I multiply by 1 yard over 3 feet, the units of feet will cancel, and I'll have exactly what I want. So let's multiply this out. So I have 1 over 1 times 5280 over 1 times 1 over 3. So I don't know how many times 3 goes into 5280. Does it go in? Yeah, if I sum 5 plus 2, remember the quick way of telling if we add up the digits, 5 plus 2 plus 8 plus 0, we get 15, and 3 goes into 15, so must go into 5280. So this is going to be 5280 over 3, but let's divide it to figure out exactly how many times it goes in. So this is going to be 1, right? Then I subtract, bring down the next digit. 3 into 22 is 7. So it'll be 21. Subtract, bring down the next digit. 3 into 18 is 6. and then I get 0, 3 into 0 is 0. So it looks like this is going to be 1760 yards. So 1 mile is 1760 yards. And actually, we just created another unit conversion factor, right? Because I had 1 mile. So you could include this in your list if you want. So 1 mile is equal to 1760 yards. Okay, let's do a few problems from your My Open Math homework. Okay, so this first question, we want to convert 32 cups, right? C is cups, into gallons. Well, I don't know the exact conversion. Let's see if we can look at our table and see if that gives us any information. So let's see. We know that 1 pint is 2 cups. We know that 1 quart is 2 pints. And we know 1 gallon is 4 quarts. So I guess we could use that information, right? So we know 1 pint is 2 cups. Let me go back. So what do we know here? We know 1 pint is equal to 2 cups. 1 quart is equal to, what was it, 2 pints? And then 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts. Okay. Okay, so I'm starting with 32 cups. I can't go directly to gallons, right, in one step, but I can go from cups to pints, right? So I know that 1 pint is 2 cups. So I guess pint is PT over 2 cups. And I'm writing it like that, 1 over 2, because I want the cups to cancel, right? I want these units to cancel. Times, and now I'm going to go from pints to quarts. So again, I guess this is QT, and then is the same as 2 pints, right? So pints has to go in the denominator so that it'll cancel. And then finally, I know that 1 gallon is 4 quarts. So I want 1 gallon in the numerator and then 4 quarts in the denominator. So quarts will cancel. And then my answer will be in gallons, right? All the other units cancel, and the only thing that survives is what I want, which is gallons. So now we just have to divide this out, right? So this is going to be 32 over 1 times 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/4. So we can simplify, but let me multiply numerators and denominators. I'll simplify at the end. So 32 times 1 times 1 times 1 is 32. 1 times 2 is 2 times 2 is 4 times 4 is 16. So I guess this is going to be 2, right? So 32 cups, I guess, is the same as 2 gallons. Actually, that makes sense, right? Because a gallon of milk is 16 cups. So I guess we could have, if we knew that, it wasn't in the table, but we could have also done it this way, right? If you knew that 1 gallon is equal to 16 cups, then we could do this in one step, right? I could have just multiplied by 1 gallon over 16 cups. Cups will cancel, and I'm going to get 32 divided by 16, which is 2 gallons. But if we didn't know that, which I forgot that, then I can do it in steps by using the information given in the table, except in this case I needed 3 unit conversion factors. And I still arrive at the same answer. Okay, what about this one? We want to convert from minutes to hours, right? There's 360, well, we're given 360 minutes. We want to figure out how many hours that is. Well, what do we know? If we go back to our table, and again, you guys know this, right? We know that 1 hour is 60 minutes, right? So that's in the table right here. 1 hour is 60 minutes. So if I go back to the problem here, I know that 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. So I start with 360 minutes. I want my answer to be in hours. So the unit conversion factor, how do I write this? So I write it as 1 hour over 60 minutes or 60 minutes over 1 hour. Well, I want minutes to cancel, right? So I guess I have to write it as 1 hour over 60 minutes. And then minutes will cancel. And then if I multiply this out, this is really 360 over 1 times 1 over 60. You can simplify a little bit, right? 60 goes into 60 once. 60 goes into 360 6 times. So 6 times 1 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. So this is just going to be 6. So 360 minutes is the same as 6 hours. Okay? And all the problems are done exactly the same way. You multiply by a unit conversion factor, at least one. Sometimes you need more than one. And the units you don't want, you have to put in the denominator of the unit conversion factor so they cancel. And the units you want to keep have to go in the numerator. All right, great. So that's it for, that's all I want to discuss now for US customary units. In the next section, we will start talking about metric. So the metric system, metric units. And then eventually we'll talk about how to convert between the two, going from US customary units to metric and vice versa. Great, thanks.